Pleasant Mountain.
Yeah, thank you very much.
What about?
Nice start.
Oh, you're right for you. What you find out what's wrong with you.
Me too.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Let's talk. Does that make sense?
That.
You follow?
I think I do except for the last word.
Yeah, like the weather, it's better now. The weather's getting better. Be a little more productive. Very
He's waiting, he can't, he's waiting to get time. I've got 7 people looking to join.
Okay.
Well, that's
right.
He is, I have. Okay, it's 1:32.
Okay. All right. I guess you use my. Like to call the meeting to order. Y'all, thank y'all for showing up.
I'm still letting people in, so just 1 second.
Okay.
Down here a minute. Assigned, and that should be the agent on office name right there, signature Big Michael. And transaction, I'm a member of the board.
One more person. Roberts, okay. Anybody's in, Madam Mayor, that's requested to be.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Glad you all showed up. Thank you for coming to our special called council meeting today on March 4th. Our first order of business is the approval of the second from our February 15th council meeting. I will need a motion to approve these minutes.
I've read the minutes and
You
I
did.
can make the motion.
Thank you, Jim. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Tony. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes as written?
Excuse me, Madam Mayor. Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Hold on. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Excuse,
Thank you. All right.
point of order.
Go ahead.
I was trying to ask a question in general discussion about the approval of the minutes.
Okay.
Are you recognizing me to speak?
Give your name and address, please.
Paul Wheeler, 33 Putter Lane, Sky Valley, Georgia, 30537.
Okay. What is it you wish to say, Mr. Wheeler?
Okay, in the meeting minutes, under number 8, during the discussion of the authorizing Ellenberg Tree Service to clear, as I recall, there were 2 different motions that were made and seconded in that meeting, and I did not see that reflected in the minutes.
What motions were you talking about?
Well, there was two different motions. One was to accept the bid as is, and it was seconded, and then Tony Aldridge made a motion that amended the first motion that was made, and it was seconded, and I don't see any of that noted in the minutes.
Karen, you wish to respond to
Because it was decided to postpone the vote, I can go in and put that in, but because it didn't proceed any further than making of the motion and seconded it wasn't up for the approval, it didn't go through, but I can go in and make that change.
Okay,
Okay,
so, thank you, Paul. All right, so we need to, we've already approved this, so what do we need to do, Karen?
Well, I don't know, to be quite honest. I can just go in for clarity and just go ahead and then I'll make a note of this suggestion and then we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting and we can look at it again and discuss it.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, next item is the adoption of the presented agenda. I need a motion to approve this agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Jim. Second. Thank you, Ed. Any discussion? All in favor of approving this present agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Yeah, so approved. All right, consider the next one, old business. Consider the approval of the quote to authorize award of contract to Ellenberg Brothers Tree Service for the amount of $24,900 to clear out the vegetation of approximately 1 mile of the old road from the gate at Evergreen extension to where it ends at Crusher Road. The revised bid is included in and has more detail in it, more detailed description of the proposed services, which was in your packet. I will need a motion to consider the quote from Ellenberg Brothers.
So moved.
Thank you, Jim. Second. All right, comments or questions from the council? Okay. Since this bid was discussed extensively at our last council meeting by council and some attending citizens, I'm calling for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So approved. All right. Is our attorney online?
Yes.
Okay, great. Our next item is new business. Consider approval of the Raven County Service Delivery System strategy resolution included in your council package. Is a resolution for the approval of the Raven County Service Delivery Strategy as developed by our city attorney. I've had several citizens who are new to Sky Valley asking me exactly what SPS is. So I've written up a little description, hopefully that will help people who are here or who will watch our meeting later. For our citizens not familiar with SDS, let me state that SDS is an acronym for Service Delivery Strategies. In short, SDS was enacted by our Georgia legislature in 1997 to establish a process through which local governments within each county must come to an agreement about service provisions in order to minimize duplication of services and competition between local governments and provide a mechanism to resolve situations on the delivery system, funding, equality, and land use. When this council came into office in 2020, the SDS process was in a stalemated mess that has been going on for about 7 years. We know that the compromise can be an arduous process of give and take, and sometimes result in an impasse and non-action, which is what happened now with our SDS process. This impasse created armed camps between city municipalities and Raven County, and as a result, the city of Sky Valley had large funding
They
opportunities.
didn't let anybody speak. She said, because we had discussion before.
Excuse me. As a result, the city of Sky Valley has had large funding opportunity losses. We couldn't apply for grants. We had to pay for consultant and legal fees, et cetera. We're talking about hundreds of thousands or more of dollars that we missed out on, and we could not collect any kind of revenue to help our city. This council agreed to the importance of reestablishing a working relationship with county government and with our Raven municipalities. When our elected officials collaborate and cooperate, we all win. The reestablishment of governmental relationships between Raven County and the city of Clayton and Sky Valley helped in communicating our city's interests and needs, and brings the impasse to us, and we have brought up the impasse to a satisfactory end. Our city attorney, Mr. Kidd, will review the proposed resolution, discuss the strategies that are significant to our city, and answer any questions regarding this issue. Mr. Kidd?
Yes, Mayor, can you hear me?
Dan, thank you.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
sorry I can't be there
City
in
council
person. I was hoping
Just
to be there.
started, good. Hope y'all have good.
Is there some feedback there?
Yeah, I think it's fine now. Go ahead, Doug.
Okay. Yeah, I had court this morning, so I couldn't be there in person. But we are, I still have feedback on my end. Y'all hear that?
You're coming across fine.
Okay. So the city needs to adopt a resolution approving the service delivery strategy agreement that we have reached with Raven County and all the other cities. As the mayor said earlier, this has been ongoing for several years, and it's been in ongoing litigation for more than 2 years. The previous council that represented the city had us join with Clayton in some litigation against the county, and they raised some important issues that the county was not looking at the time, including fire services and garbage tipping fees. And so during the 2 years of the litigation, we had some serious negotiations and mediation in which the county was able to kind of give us concessions both on our fire services and our tipping fees for garbage, amongst some other things as well, that came out to the benefit of the city. And I'm sure most of the citizens of Sky Valley have been looking in the news, and they've seen that the city of Clayton has went ahead and with their new council and mayor come to an agreement with the county, and they have signed off on a resolution to submit the SDS agreement to the Georgia Community Affairs to wrap up this matter. So my understanding is that we have a resolution in front of the council today to go ahead and approve our share of it. Legally, the county doesn't need our approval. I think they just needed Clayton's approval because it's based off of population. And once Clayton approved it, along with the other cities such as Dillard and Mountain City and Tallulah Falls and Tiger, then it would go ahead and be sent to the state anyway. So I don't think legally they need Sky Valley's sign off on it, but I would like for the council to go ahead and do that, because I think the agreement that we've negotiated over the past couple of years does benefit the citizens of Sky Valley. There are some things that possibly didn't go 100% our way, but just like any compromise, the county and other cities had to compromise as well. So I think the issues that we came into it, the fire service delivery, and also the garbage tipping fees did come out in our favor. So I think we struck a pretty good deal.
Okay, I will need a motion to approve the resolution.
So Madam Mayor, after we've been involved for several years in this SDS negotiation with the previous administration, this administration gives me great satisfaction to make a motion that we approve approve this final.
Thank you, Jim, and I will take your motion as a second. All right, now any comments or questions from the council?
Madam Mayor, I would just like for us to recognize Kirk County for his job of leadership in Clayton to make this happen. Without him, the problems would be.
The mayor of the city of Clayton. Yeah. Thank you. Any other comments?
Perhaps we ought to acknowledge the role that the voters of the city of Clayton played through this whole turnaround as well.
Any other comments or questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Elaborate on this. But once we sat down with the county, went through 86 pages of different agreements, we relied on Doug heavily to tell us whether the issues we had a legal stance or not.
Yeah.
So in every case, we relied on his judgment as to whether it's something we had a chance to litigate or not. Is that a fair comment, Doug?
I've heard about every fifth word of that. Jason, could you restate that for me so I could hear it?
Let me try to do it again. Doug, on the various issues that we had to decide on, we relied on you to give us your legal opinion as to whether, before we settled the issue, whether we had a legal basis for challenging the county on the decision.
All right. I think I heard the question. The question was, did we have a legal basis to challenge the county initially? Is that the question?
Well, as we went through and negotiated with the county on each of those issues, we would rely on you to give us guidance as to whether we were settling it in our best interest according to the law.
That's correct. Yes. The initial challenge that we took under the previous council was legally sufficient as well. And then the settlement that we're doing right now follows under the law as well. I think the issue and maybe some of the criticisms that we've heard would be on the policy matters, whether they're actually good deals for the city or not, which is a political matter for council members and the public to decide. But legally, yes. Y'all have the authority to end this today, and you had the authority to get into it several years ago as well. So we followed the law every step of the way.
Did he answer your question? Or any other comments from them?
When you go to
Doug?
public, I'd like to ask a question when
If you'd hold off, Mr. Durkle, I was getting to that. Doug, we had comments emailed to me. I had comments emailed to me late last night from opinions by Mr. Durkle, who was involved with SDS as the Sky Valley hired SDS consultant. Could you address, and I sent that email to Doug, could you address those issues, Doug? Doug, you there? Is he still there?
He has muted himself out there.
Okay.
All right. I didn't think I'd muted myself. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Did you
Okay.
hear
So
my-
I think so. Let me restate it. You said that you had forwarded an email from Chip Durpo about his concerns about this agreement. Is that right?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. And could you address his concerns, please?
I'll be honest with you. I read that memo, and it's the same memo that Mr. Durpo has produced since the beginning. I think his concerns are more policy driven than legally driven, which is fine. But I'm the lawyer and I can speak on legal issues. I think some of his criticisms are policy issues, which honestly, y'all don't hire me to give policy issues discussions. That's for y'all to decide. But legally, the process was, we followed every step that we're supposed to. I know he has his issues with it, but I think that's something that he has to take up with council.
I didn't hear what you said last.
I think his issues are more policy driven, which is something that probably the council or the city manager would speak on, rather than legal issues, if that makes sense.
Okay. Did you need to say anything, Jason?
Madam Mayor, I did review that same email. Even though I'm fairly new to this, I have done my best to educate myself on this SDS. I've had several conversations with the county manager. From what I can tell from those conversations, is everybody happy? I don't know, but the things that seem to be important to the city are being taken care of. So,
Well, I know one of the issues Mr. Durko talked about was the strategies for fire protection. And in the SDS document, it talks about, says the strategy has been revised to modify the funding mechanisms for fire protection. The county will continue to provide the protection in the unincorporated areas of the county and in the cities of Clayton, Tiger, and Dillard, and Mountain City. The cities of Sky Valley and Tallulah Falls provide fire protection with their own jurisdiction at a higher level of service and supported by grants from Raven County. Raven County agrees to maintain at least a current level of funding and support to Sky Valley Scaly Mountain Volunteer Fire and Rescue. The support by the county focuses on funding large equipment purchases such as bush trucks and so forth. I know that there was an issue with a map was not included with the SDS document. And so you have talked to the county, Jason?
Madam Mayor, I did speak with Darren Giles, the county manager, about that. He told me that there was not a map. I told him that we had a citizen that raised the question about box was checked. Of course, the county created this form.
Right.
And he told me that he would try to get a map made. But at this time, I do not have that. I've also reached out to Chief Siegler and see if they had a map. He told me he did not. So,
Well, I think that was an important point, and I agree with Chip that we should have had the map. I agree with that. Also, I think he talked about the park services in his email. And the document says the strategy has been added to replace parks in the previous agreement and to include all cities as service providers. Each city will continue to provide park services at a higher level of services than the county parks and recreation service. And then there was, I think there will ask something about roads. The document says, this strategy has been revised to separate the maintenance of county roads, which is provided countywide by the county, from municipal road maintenance, which is provided by each municipality in their respective jurisdictions. In addition, Raven County assists the cities with road projects from time to time and with money allows in order to achieve cost savings. Now, this, we talked to the county way before this document came out. In the county, it's been very responsive to our needs for the road that we're talking about, the emergency road that we're putting in. They've agreed to bring in their large equipment, grade the road, and put in the culverts at no cost to Sky Valley, which I think was wonderful. We certainly appreciate that. Also, we worked very hard with the county officials to initiate the T-SPLOST. Luckily, that was passed by our wonderful Raven County citizens, which will mean almost $2 million worth of funding for our roads, which is again wonderful, and it came from cooperation. All right, I think solid waste was the other issue. Get to it. In other words, they agreed to pay our tipping fees for solid waste, which will save us some city funds. All right, Mr. Durko, did you have anything else you needed to say?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. I do have a couple of things, and Doug, I appreciate your comments about this being more of a political issue, but maybe you can help clear up a couple of things for me, and that is I'd like to start with road maintenance dash counting. If you have that document available in front of you, if you read check box A, it clearly states this is a county-wide, including all cities and unincorporated areas, by a single provider, and that is Bourbon County. Paragraph 2 says there are no overlapping services. That simply is not true. You go with that, and then you have another called road maintenance municipal. Now those two just basically wipe each other out, in my opinion, because they're total contradiction of each other.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you-
I'll speak to that, Chip. It's sort of like the Parks and Recreation. In the old days, we used to have one thing called Parks and Recreation in the county, they were called parks. And you don't see that in this SBS document. You see it split out into two different things because there's two different systems of parks. There's now a Parks and Recreation category, and that's pages 51 and 52 of the agreement. And then there's something called Parks Municipal. And guess what? The municipal parks are being paid for by the 6 cities of Raven County. The Parks and Recreation is a major recreation complex down near the high school. And that's what the county does. And for example, somebody raised the issue of pickleball courts. Well, the Parks and Recreation Center has pickleball courts. Sky Valley also has pickleball courts. People from Sky Valley, I bet the vast 99+% of the folks use the Sky Valley facilities. It's two different park systems with two different funding mechanisms. That's the same thing that happens with roads. And that's consistent with public finance all over the state of Georgia and all over the country for that matter. So there's nothing untoward about different levels of government having similar services, but they're typically, except for grants, not funding exactly the same services.
Okay, may I respond to that?
Certainly.
Okay. Parks and Recreation. Why does it clearly state that that the county will handle that within the county, both incorporated and unincorporated? To Jim's point, why did you not turn around and check paragraph E and provide a map of who's going to do what where?
It's sort of like the garbage situation, which was a genuine double taxation. We paid for our own collection, and we also paid the county tax. Well, from the very beginning, the county recognized that this was the case. They recognized that their funding part of their operation by user fees, by tipping fees, was their choice. And that there was clearly a line item in the taxes to pay for solid waste disposal. So they recognized that very early on. They realized that was something that needed to be remediated, and it has been remediated. And there were a lot of ways to do it, and the one we came up with is just fine. So there was a point you made in there someplace about Parks and Recreation.
Well, you've got two different documents, in my opinion. The one is counterproductive to the other. You've got the county and Recreations, as you said, on page I'm sorry, I don't have the page number in front of me, Parks and Recreation, and it says the county is going to do that both in the unincorporated and the incorporated municipalities. Then you have another one, I think you got a second one in here, what? That you just could have gone in there and done this properly and done that under paragraph E and put a map into who's going to do what. Now,
Well,
that's the part. Let's finish that, and then I'm going to talk about waste with you.
Chip, let me respond to that part. I don't know exactly where all the borders are of Dillard or Tiger or Tallulah Falls, but I bet plenty of people do. And I seem to recall that language stated that, very simply, those cities would provide city parks within their boundaries, and that the county would provide parks for everyone all over the county. That county residents are paying for them, so they get to go to the Parks and Recreation Center, and you know, the county's not paying for Sky Valleys, but you know, I don't see if there's a problem anywhere, and if there is, I would hope that the Georgia Community Development Affairs folks would turn around and tell us that.
It says each city will continue to provide park service at a higher level.
Yes.
Well, and that's another, Madam Mayor, higher level. That word seems to be thrown around. It was thrown around a lot back when I was on the council, when I was serving as a consultant. In order to have a higher level of service, you have to have a base level to start with. So in other words, let's take roads, for example. If the county came up to Sky Valley and paved roads and didn't do it to the standard that Sky Valley wants, then Sky Valley would have the opportunity to move a higher level of service by doing something on top. But you've got to have a base level. You can't just pay the taxes. Citizens pay the taxes to the county for a service that is not provided, and then simply thrown to the side under the terms of a higher level of service. That's what really bothers me with a lot of this. And believe me, that's not a long time.
I hear what you're saying, Chip, and I think that vocabulary comes from the Department of Community Affairs when they define how areas become a city, and it's always by, quote, offering higher levels of service in, I think, 3 out of 12 areas or something like that. So that's where that vocabulary comes from. And you might have a point about baseline, but I don't think that's anywhere in the documents from the community affairs.
Madam Mayor, as a practical matter, the county's way off in Clayton. They don't get up here very often, and they don't even maintain the park down on Kelly's Creek Road. That's more of a private park. Our citizens are so far from Parks and Recreation Center that we very seldom go down there. So basically, we're filling a void, an important void for our community, by providing parks and pickleball courts and walking trails and you name it. If you don't see that's not a higher level of service, I mean, is that your point?
No, I think you made my point for me very well in your opening sentence in this right here. We are too far away for Rayburn County to maintain our roads. But it's amazing, and with that being said, I hear what you're saying. At the same time, we're not too far away to be taxed on those roads. So if you can't provide the service, but you can provide the tax bill, can't have your cake and eat it too.
Going back to my point about practical end of things, we would not be happy having our roads maintained like a county road. Go down on Kelly's Creek Road. That's a super county road. They've got that reinforced like crazy to carry all those heavy concrete trucks. And yet you'll see patching and alligatoring on that road. You'll see the condition of that road is not anywhere near the condition of the road, most of the roads in Sky Valley. We would not be happy with county maintenance of our roads. We want responsive maintenance. If you call City Hall about a pothole, that pothole is going to get filled pretty quickly. That's what I call a higher level of service.
Okay. Well, that's kind of where you and I were back when we were on the council together. We didn't see eye to eye at all on double taxation and then a higher level of service. You still got to have a base level. Tell me real quick, you mentioned that the solid waste had been taken care of now. The city had recognized, or the county had recognized the landfill issue. The last that I was involved in it, we were going to get to free tipping up to about 750 tons, which is about double what the normal annual rate is for Sky Valley. Where does this stand now, and what is the tip? Is there a tipping fee? Is it scalable, etc.?
Yes, there is a tipping fee. We will be paying the tipping fee, and then we will take those receipts over to the county, and the county will refund the tipping fees. In other words, the folks at the tipping station don't have to make a decision about who's city, who's commercial, or anything like that. We just pay it, and if we take our bills to the county, submit them within 90 days, the county reimburses us.
Okay, so I mean, I knew that there was a lot of difficulty in how to identify where trash was coming from down there, and it sounds like that's a good way to do it. So, I mean, if I understand your answer totally, is it's not based on tonnage. Any receipt you take in there, they get their money back.
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. And I want to address something to Mr. Moore and tell him how proud I am that he identified the misappropriation fund, misappropriated $9 million. I wish you'd have gone one step further and looked into that, because they misappropriated those funds in there for landfill, which was a third tax, not double taxation, but a third taxation on solid waste up until this new agreement Jim just spoke of. And they also diverted funds for a county-wide wastewater system. There is no such thing as a county-wide wastewater system. So anyway, Ed, thank you for finding that out, and I hope that you'll work hard to try to get most of that money back for Sky Valley.
Well, and I'm not sure how far I'll be able to take that, Chip. The further explanation for that was that the landfill is a necessity for the county, and the county had to subsidize that operation, and I think it was like $9 million.
It was, yeah, I think so.
But that was over a period of 8 or 9 years. But that's as far as I took that too.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you pay attention enough to recognize and caught that. Now, we're proud of you for that, because it was $6 million when we were in there. So it's climbing, and this misappropriation continues to climb. And as I say, there is not a countywide wastewater system. So anyway, I think at least I've gotten my points on the record. I appreciate all of you allowing me to speak. And
well, thank you, Chip. Thank you, Chip, for all your service to Sky Valley, and we appreciate comments. Thank you, sir. All right, any other comments from the council? I think I'm going to call for the question. Nothing online. Okay, thank you, Jason. Certainly. You have to stand up and have to be recognized.
Steve Mason, 38 Pleasant Mountain Drive.
Yes, sir.
Just quickly, can y'all summarize the areas in this agreement where we have reduced or eliminated double taxation in the county taxes? And has anybody quantified what that might be on an annual basis?
I cannot answer that, the second question. The first question is, the strategies. There's how many strategies on SDS? 30, 40 of them. And over a period of time, there was mediation, there was a bunch of mediations as to how we were going to solve these issues.
One of them is landfill, I guess, the tipping fee.
The tipping fees, yes, sir.
Yeah. Is there any other significant?
That's about 12,000.
There was a great deal of discussion between Clayton and the county on the roads issue. And the city of Clayton has since decided that that's fine. I think they've come around to seeing it the way the rest of the cities in Raven County.
Well, landfill or nothing else.
Well, what you'll see, there's 63 different areas of responsibility. So each one of them is well defined. Some of the things that came up, like we have U.S. Marshal, the sheriff. We didn't pay for that because we provided that service. Well, nobody pays for it. They generate enough revenue that it pays for itself. So there's a lot of that type of stuff in there.
Well, we do get rescue, but how about fire? We don't get fire.
Well, we do, Bill. We do, Bill.
Oh, I know we get, okay. Back up at least.
Yes, there's lots of ways to resolve any kind of inequities that you find. You can do a special taxing district, you can make other considerations. You can swap it off for some other service that's not in any way related. All that's necessary, it's not necessary to be fair. The goal is to make it fair, but there's no requirement. And nobody's ever going to agree to how to do that anyway. But, you know, this is a fair agreement for Sky Valley.
Holland.
Are you through, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Would you stand?
I'm Barbara Kobacker, 407 Pleasant Mountain Drive. In listening to this conversation, I think it's great. And I'm very happy SDS is over with. We're all tired of hearing of it. Jim made a very interesting statement when he said, Rabun County really is so far away in Clayton that we're sort of up here by itself. My question is, why don't we go to the county and say, we want more interaction for our taxes.
Yeah.
We want a mobile library to come up here once a month or twice a month. We want a pickleball professional that Quillam buys down there. We want a pickleball professional to come up here and give us free lessons. We want government to explain exactly what they're doing for us in this county. What are we doing for mental health? What are we doing for the homeless? We're taxpayers. I would like to present to you the challenge of getting more information for Rabun County up here, so we're more connected with them. That's my thought.
Thank you, Ms. Kobacker, and I think that's a wonderful idea. In fact, we now have an intergovernmental agency.
Good.
That's been established by Forward
Good.
Rabun, and we have several representatives.
Who'd you put on it?
Well,
May I ask?
automatically, it's Jason and I go to it, but then we also have Jamie Dara is on it. So we've got representation. So what we need to do is make sure that you understand what's going on and you can give suggestions. Well, I thought your suggestions were wonderful.
Well, and I think, again, you should choose people and spread this out a little bit than to the normal POA run through. They're on the council, they're on the POA, they're on the board at the club. I think you should reach out to some people who are connected to any organization.
Sure, I
Thank
agree.
you.
I agree. Thanks, Barbara. Great suggestion. Okay. And communication is very much needed,
Absolutely.
and that's another reason we just hired a communication specialist. So
Good.
I will talk to her about your suggestion, and we'll get more of our Forward Raven and the Chamber of Commerce, which we also have joined, to get their information to you all. Great idea. Thank you.
So I'm Jan Mason,
She's Jan Mason.
and I also live at 38. Pleasant Mountain Drive.
Thank you, Jan.
So I need something very simple, because I don't understand all the innuendo, the nuances of what you have said. Are we being double taxed for anything anymore?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But, you know,
They could slip something in. I understand.
There's an awful
They're
lot of
very
details.
devious. I understand. But you think that we have solved all that double taxation, the big stuff?
I think so.
Okay, thank you. That's what
I think so.
thank you.
I don't care about all.
And,
the
and, and is it a perfect agreement? Of course
Of
not.
course
No
not.
agreement ever is, but I think it speaks well, and I think we've done well for Sky Valley, including, Chip. He helped out also.
Right. Well, a lot of that stuff was semantics
Yes.
that, I've been
Well,
involved
and
in
it's the
that.
form, it's the
Right.
format and so
Exactly.
forth.
So,
And if you want to read the 80-page document, it's exciting.
I wanna
We're doing
trust
it. It's
you.
on our website.
I want to trust you.
Okay,
And when you say that you think that the double taxation is pretty much over,
yeah. I mean, there's
That's
some
all I wanna hear.
overlapping in everything.
of course there is.
Of course there is, but.
And I don't
think
mind
it's a-
paying for Parks and Recreation in the county, even though it's not up here. I can go down there and use it. I
Correct,
mean, that's of course,
yeah, I agree.
Barbara might, but I
And,
don't.
and I think that, we've got a great rapport with the county and the rest of the cities now, because we're all working together. And
Yeah.
are
this
we
is
always
great.
gonna agree?
No,
But I think we're doing what we need to.
thank you.
Thank you, Jan.
The county knows where we would like to have higher levels of services from the county. That doesn't mean we're gonna get them, but they know about it. They
Yeah.
can make some little
You have to
gestures
just
in
keep
our direction.
telling them, look,
Yeah.
we're giving you a lot of
Oh,
money.
we do not have any qualms about asking.
That's good.
Yes, we have a direct line, and, whether they answer it or not, I don't know. But we do ask, and we appreciate any kind of suggestions like Barbara's. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
And we like it. Even if we don't agree with it, we want you to say it to us. Okay, have we voted on this? I don't even know where we are. Okay, do I have we, we've got,
Yeah,
we got the first and second? All right, all in favor of approving the SDS resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, so approved. It is not on the agenda, but I think I'm going to add, if we have any citizen comments, the public forum, we will take that now. You realize that you have to say your name, say your address. You get 5 minutes or less, and please use decorum when speaking. Do we have anything? Anybody who wants to say anything?
Madam Mayor, Paul Wheeler says he has a question. I guess he can either unmute himself or he can type the question out and I'll read it
It's up to
aloud.
him. It's up to him.
Paul, if you can hear us, you've got the floor.
Is he still online, Jason?
Let me- He's still online. I'm trying to,
He can make a comment if he likes, of course.
1 second. I want-
Madam Mayor,
Is that you, Paul?
That's Mr. Ponkowski.
Oh, that's Mr.
This-
Montcalf.
yeah, this is Al Poinkowski, 66 Pleasant Mountain Drive. Ordinance number 13-03. Section 19 sub B. Public participation on agenda items. The presiding officer shall allow public comment on an agenda item at the time the item is being considered by the council. These comments shall be limited to the subject that is being debated. Members of the public may speak for 5 minutes and may speak only once. These limits may be waived by a majority vote of the council. Anyone wishing to speak at any council meeting must be recognized by the mayor before addressing the council. By prohibiting members of the members of the taxpayers to comment based on an open agenda is, in my opinion, a complete and total violation of city ordinance 13-03. And I just wanted to make that known as far as a public record, that you deliberately didn't let people comment only because 2 people commented on February 15th. And anybody who's at the meeting now had no voice as relative to the opinions or suggestions as far as the tree removal on the emergency exit. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Anybody else?
Mr. Wheeler said he's trying to type his comment.
Okay, we'll wait a few minutes. Okay.
He wants to unmute himself or. I do not see where he's muted.
Mr. Wheeler, did you want to say anything?
There he is. He's not muted, but there he is. I don't know if he's having a cut of these. I'm gonna ask if he wants.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Vaughn has something he'd like to.
All right, Chief Estes, you want to say something? Go right ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to bring some good news to our council, and, you know, and this is a perfect time for us to do that. On February 26th, Ron, will you step up here?
No, good.
Ron was out on 246, and he was contacted by a volunteer firefighter paramedic from Scaly Mountain, who was responding to an emergency call with a 12-year-old child down on Chastain Road in North Carolina. And the EMT had no one to help him. Ron volunteered to go with him. They went down there, and because of their quick action, they saved a 12-year-old boy's life. That he was life flighted to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, minutes, seconds counted. The child had had a medical crisis and was not going to survive. But because they were able to be there so quick and get him in that chopper and get him to Atlanta so fast, I'm happy to tell you that the boy is doing well as we speak. He has survived the crisis and he is now stable and in the hospital. But I just wanted to recognize Ron because the second time, while we were in here, I got several emails from the EMTs and the paramedics that was on the scene praising Ron and his quick action. Had they not been there so fast and acted without hesitation, we may have a different story. So I just wanted to share that with you guys and bring a little bit of sunshine to the meeting and see that things, it can happen at any moment, at any time. And just thankfully, he was where he needed to be when he needed to be there.
And we have a fabulous police department, and we thank you, Ron, from the bottom of my heart.
Very proud.
Being a mother and a grandmother, I thank you.
12-year-old boy is doing well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, the question is, or the concern is that the fire service map is not included with the SDS, but it has been passed. That's
Yeah.
the story. So,
I don't, you want to talk about, that you talked to the city manager?
well, Madam Mayor, I did speak with the county manager there in Giles
county.
yesterday about that.
Uh-huh.
He said that there's not a map. I've actually, from my checking here, I don't know if we have a map period.
Yeah.
I did, from Mr. Giles, he's going to have a map made.
Yeah.
And I actually reached out to Chief Sigler to see if they had a map.
Yeah.
So there's not a map, so it probably would be good to have a map, so.
Oh, I think it's,
So,
I think it's a great suggestion.
So it's my understanding, I know the county has a mapping department. And from speaking with Darren, they're gonna have a map made, so I will stay on that. and make
Right.
sure that it's-
Thank you, Paul, for bringing that up. I totally agree with you, and we will stay with them, stay on them until we get a map and we get it to our fire department, and we have it here in the city. That only makes sense to me too. Thank you very much.
The other question, Madam Mayor, is do we have something in writing stating what the county will provide with roads? From speaking with Mr. Giles from the SDS, basically, they're not, what he said to me was, county's not gonna do any more for the city than they can do for the counties. We have worked very hard to create a relationship there. It does state in the SDS, they did add that they can provide help as assistance. Now that the tree contract has been approved, when I get back to the office this afternoon, I will be calling Derek or emailing him saying, this is when they hope to come out, so he can schedule his guys to come out. So we do have a verbal commitment that they're going to come up and help bring the motor graders. But I do not believe we're gonna get anything beyond that. They're not really required to give us anything, so.
Well, it does say in the SDS that Reagan County assists the cities with road projects from time to time. And as money allows, and we have a verbal agreement. Of course, we got that about a year ago, and they still say they're going to stand with their agreement with us to help us with that emergency road, and I feel sure they will. Also, as part of SDS and as part of the T-Splost, the county is going to, we are to submit our road projects to them, and they will try to consolidate all the road projects in the county to get everybody the best price available to maintain our roads. And I think that's fabulous also. I hope that answered your question, Paul.
He just raised one more. The citizens of Sky Valley are still being double taxed on multiple services. That's his comment.
I think there is some overlap, and I don't think that can be avoided. Yeah. Okay. With that in mind, we thank everybody for coming today and everybody online for their comments, questions, and concerns. And do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Madam Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Tony. Second. Second, Ed. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And you all have a great day. And thank you all for participation.